Hello again. So before we move on to the interludes, I actually realized that we need to stop for a moment and talk about the death rattles. And I'm going to do this without the timer. Okay? So I'll keep it brief, but not limiting myself to a minute. Um, each chapter throughout, well, actually, each chapter of the whole book has an epigraph at the beginning of it, a little quote, a little something. And all of the ones in the first part of the book are what Brandon Sanderson calls death rattles, and they're basically the last words of someone who is dying. So they're very cryptic, very dark. Some of them are creepy, some of them are bizarre, and they're really fun to read after you've read some other works by Brandon Sanderson. After you've read more Stormlight books and also a few other books set in the Cosmere, some of these things in these death rattles start to make more sense. The very first one in the book mentions the Everstorm. Spoilers. Not really spoilers. I don't know. It's not spoilers. Right here in the first chapter, before the first chapter of the book. Here's a great one. Here's one that you won't understand until the end of the book. I don't even know if I should mention this one. Chapter 4 says, I'm dying, aren't I? Healer, why do you take my blood? Who is that beside you with his head of lines? I can see a distant sun, dark and cold, shining in a black sky. So a lot of that will be explained throughout this book, and one big part of it will make sense. I can't remember. I don't know if it's the last chapter or just like right at the very end of this book. That's a great one. Here we see one mentioning the night of sorrows, the true desolation, the Everstorm. Here's an interesting one that I really don't know. So I know that the Cosmere is interconnected. I know, some of those connections, but not all of them. Not even a lot of them, compared to these people who are super, mega fans of Brandon Sanderson. I consider myself a pretty big fan, but I wouldn't say mega fan. I don't think I would win any trivia contests on the Cosmere. But this last death rattle of this part of the book, it's chapter 11, says 3 of 16 ruled, but now the broken one reigns. And I'm not gonna say what I think that could be a reference to, but if you've read more of his books, then you can make your own assumptions. So these death rattles are very cool. There's a lot of, like I said, cryptic creepiness to them, and I think several of them are meant to be used as sort of foreshadowing, and they are just a blast to read after you've already read the other books in the series and some of the other books in the Cosmere. So there you go. Next up is now the interludes. Enjoy.